Oh, hi, Internet. /Echo here. And, in case you can't read the title of the video for some reason, I'm going to talk about my top 10 favorite songs at time of recording. I'll post links to the songs. They're going to be YouTube videos. I've put together a playlist, so I'll link to that. It's right there on my profile. Unfortunately, I can't guarantee those links will stay fresh because YouTube does like to tear down videos that are just music for copyright purposes. So, I can't promise those links will stay fresh, but I'll have them there for there they are, and you'll be able to search for them yourself once all the links break. Now, why top 10, you ask? Well, why not? It makes sense to me. 10 is a nice round number, and if I try to go one step beyond, I'd just be ripping off one of my idols. So, I'm going to name off my top 10 favorite songs, and you're going to damn well deal with it. Number 10. Jungleland by Bruce Springsteen. Now, I'm no stranger to the Boss. He's always been one of my dad's favorites. Whenever I can get my father to stop listening to Bill O'Reilly for 10 goddamn seconds. The story of the Magic Rat and the Jersey Girl really... It strikes me as just a kind of a coming-of-age story as told by Bruce Springsteen. From the kids who live like shadows to... They grow up. They go from troublemaking delinquents to greasers to gang members as they just go with the flow, and they find they get tangled up in something they couldn't even imagine. And frankly, I think something that they didn't really want. And it culminates as the song gets louder and longer and more passionate. Eventually it peaks and goes quiet again at the end. At least the lead up to the end. It goes quiet, leaving in the denouement, the letdown, almost. The anticlimax, when the rat's own dream guns him down and leaves him hurt and alone, wounded, not even dead. It didn't even... He didn't even go out in a blaze of glory. He's just shot. Number 9. Prelude / Angry Young Man by Billy Joel. Billy Joel's intense Prelude is a very complex and impressive set dressing, almost, to the Ballad of the Angry Young Man. The two songs are technically... I don't know if they're technically separate. They're never played separately. The track listings are together, but the intro and outro are specifically Prelude, as opposed to the singing in the middle, which is Angry Young Man. And it's really not hard to see why I like this song, if you know me at all. Because just the story all told of the Angry Young Man, from idealism to failure in that idealism, to the resignation that maybe he's not going to change the world like he thought he was. And in the end, maybe, just maybe, that's for the best. The world is full of angry young men. And mostly like the one in the song, they tend to burn out and just become cynical, bitter, angry old men without managing to make much of an impact on the world at all. What? Number 8. The Last in Line by Dio. For a long time, I'd have marked We Rock as my favorite Ronnie James Dio song for its pure fun. That's a fast, strong, really fun song. But as with Jungleland above, over time, The Last in Line has really grown on me, and I think it's more deserving of the position of my favorite Dio song, and of the number 8 slot here on the countdown. I love the quiet way it begins. I love the contrast when Dio just cuts loose and really shows off the sheer power of his voice. The song encapsulates the journey through life. It's not exactly a coming-of-age story, because it goes beyond that. It's not about growing up and learning what life is about. It's about living all through life and seeing the struggles that one faces throughout. As the song goes, as we search for the truth, we could die upon the tooth, but the thrill of just the chase is worth the pain. That's what this song is really about. That's the lesson that I think Dio wants to send home. Life is not about the destination, it's about the journey.
Number 7. Fallen Hero by Funker Vogt.
I do hope I've pronounced that correctly. I don't speak German. Anyway, this song is the second of a set of singles called the Hero Trilogy, collectively. I've listened to the artist's preceding and succeeding songs, respectively. Tragic Hero comes before this, and A Rising Hero comes after. And they're both very catchy, sort of electronic-y dance songs. They're not exactly my sound, but they're decently catchy. If you're into electronic and techno and dance and that sort of music, you'll probably like them quite a lot. To be specific, Wikipedia labels their genre as agro-tech. I don't pretend to know every genre of music, but neither of those two really do it for me. Fallen Hero is also labeled agro-tech, but in my opinion, it sounds very different from the other two. It's that middle child. It's the one in the middle. It's the second stage of the hero's journey, almost. And it's this one that really has me hooked. Now I think about it, it might just be the single most played song on my iPod. When I've got a song stuck in my head, when I'm really thinking about that song a lot, I tend to just loop it. I'll stick it in by itself and just listen to it over and over and over. And this song very rarely gets old. If I ever stop listening to this song on a loop, it's not because I've gotten sick of it, it's because I've thought of a different song that I want to hear. And often I'll listen to that one and then go back. Something just grabs me inside. Something about the image of the tragic fallen hero. He's bitter, he's jaded, he's very reluctant, but he still knows the right thing to do. And in the end, he'll always come through and do the right thing when he's called upon. Even when the enemy is mighty and too strong, when you call, he'll be there.
Number 6. Closer by Joe Inoue.
That's another one I really hope I've pronounced right. My Japanese is about as rusty as my German, which is to say, I don't speak any of either. Otaku viewing this will probably recognize the fourth opening theme from Naruto Shippuden, which I probably also pronounced wrong. And there's a reason that they chose this song for that series. There's a reason that this is that guy's most famous single. It's a good lesson, both in English and Japanese. I will link to both in the description here. I will link to both in the playlist. I know how otaku are about English versions, but seeing as the artist is American and personally wrote both versions, I think you could at least give it a look. I really, really like both versions. It was the Japanese one that I heard first that hooked me. But when I bought the single and it came with the English version, it's very, very good too. So, give those both a look. The message that he wants to impart, in short, is keep your friends close and greet each day with a smile on your face and a handful of courage in your heart. Let's go.
Number 5. All Along the Watchtower by Bob Dylan.
No, I don't care about the Jimi Hendrix cover. I like the one by Dylan. Of course, that said, I'm pretty sure Dylan himself preferred Hendrix's cover, and I do know for a fact that he changed later. He changed the way that he would play it to sound more like Hendrix's. So, maybe I'm just crazy. Hendrix's guitar is fantastic, don't misunderstand me. But it really is, I think it's Dylan's vocals that really make this song work. Because it's rather short, and aside from the interesting guitar, which I'm sure I have to credit to Hendrix, somebody will yell at me if I don't do that correctly. But aside from that, the song is about the lyrics. And it's set up sort of like a Mobius strip, in my opinion anyway. The third and final verse leads logically right back into the first, as if the song is meant to be looped, as if the Joker and the thief are meant to be discussing mankind forever. People don't change. And really, apparently the Joker is wrong because there is no way out of here.
Number 4. Dream of Mirrors by Iron Maiden.
Now, believe it or not, Iron Maiden is a band that I've really only gotten into recently. Just in the last couple of months. But this song is a really big reason why. To my consternation, the album Brave New World isn't available digitally, and I've had no opportunity to acquire a physical copy, so I have to use the internet to stream the song whenever I want to hear it, and that's really irritating because I want to hear it all the time. Have you ever looked into a mirror with another mirror behind you? It's a simple mirror, as the light bounces back and forth, becomes a tunnel to infinity, and I've always thought it looks really cool. I've actually had dreams about it before, and on at least the literal level, that's what the song is about. A dream of mirrors. He's lost, falling through the mirrors, falling into eternity, lost in a dream of mirrors, lost in a paradox, and he doesn't know how to escape. At one point, it seems that he has woken up, but then he can't tell if he's having a recursive dream, a recurring nightmare, or if he's woken up and simply found that the world is exactly like it was in his dream. Or is he just still in the dream?
Number 3. Jukebox Hero by Foreigner.
I heard this song again recently after a long time of not really hearing any Foreigner. And it took about 30 seconds for me to remember exactly how awesome this song is, and how awesome this band is, and how I can't listen to this song without immediately strumming an air guitar whenever I hear that one guitar. Every time it gets me. Every time. I can't not do it. Anyway, the story isn't exactly that complex. Kid tries to go to a concert and can't get in, leans up against the back wall and hears the band open up. He knew he was into music, he thought he was going to enjoy this concert, but when he hears just the sound of that one single guitar chord, it grabs hold of him and never lets go, and he knows that he has to have that for himself. He buys his own guitar, he teaches himself to play, and vows to make it to the top, to become a jukebox hero. In the end, when he does get there, as he stands many years down the line looking back, he realizes how hard he had to work and how much harder he will have to work to get to the top. But to him, it's worth it. He's happy to keep at it, because that one guitar had him spellbound for so long, it never let him go. He's never forgotten. And that just says something for the power of rock and roll.
Number 2, The Show Must Go On by Queen.
Okay, let's be honest. There isn't much on this list that you'd classify as cheerful, but this has to be simultaneously one of the most inspiring and most heartbreaking songs that I've ever heard. The songwriter Brian May was actually concerned that Freddie Mercury, that voice of the gods, wouldn't be physically capable of singing the song due to the extent of his illness. In point of fact, the song was released barely 2 months before Mercury died of bronchopneumonia. When the time to record rolled around, as it happens, according to my research, Mercury downed a shot of vodka and nailed the vocal line in one take. I don't think I need to explain what this song is about. It's about Freddie. It's about continuing on in the face of hardship. It's about never, ever giving up and never giving in. It doesn't matter what's wrong. It doesn't matter that you're ill. Inside, my heart is breaking. My makeup may be flaking, but my smile still stays on. This song is only barely not my number 1. What more need be said? On with the show.
And my number 1 favorite song of all time, My Friend of Misery by Metallica.
Earlier on, I made the point that this is my top 10 list at time of recording. But with that said, this has been hands down my absolute favorite song since the very first time I heard it. Unlike most of the other songs on this list, where this wasn't originally my favorite song by the artist and it sort of grew on me over time, I was hooked on this song from the very first moment. I was introduced to it by a friend of mine, and Metallica was very different from the classic rock that I usually listen to at that point. But the songs were enjoyable. I wasn't crazy about all of it, but there were good ones and there were great ones in the bits and pieces that he showed me, Master of Puppets and so forth. So I picked up the Black Album for myself. Again, most of the songs were okay. They were catchy. There were a couple I didn't like too much. But then I heard this one. That haunting bass line that opens and closes the song, it caught my attention like the guitar chord caught the kid in Jukebox Hero. That bass line is just incredible. A little like Fallen Hero, back up the list a bit, I'm reminded of someone who walks alone because he thinks that's best, because it's what he's used to. Usually he's brought it on himself, at least the way I look at it. That's the way it seems to me. He's brought it on himself. He's caused himself to be lonely and miserable and bitter, and he just thinks that's best. Maybe he has a nobler cause. Maybe he's accomplishing something by it. But maybe he only thinks he is. Maybe he's dead wrong and he's simply making himself miserable for no gain. The song doesn't tell us. And after just 2 verses and 2 refrains, the lyrics give way to a guitar solo that isn't able to tell us anything. And in the end, even that fades away. So, there's my top 10 favorite songs. I'll leave with a closing note on that. But first, I do want to talk about a couple of other songs. In the Moulin Rouge musical review on thatguywiththeglasses.com, the Nostalgia Critic, Nostalgia Chick, and Brental Floss sang a song at the end about guilty pleasures. And I have a few of those. And, like them, I'll mention them here. The 2 that I'm willing to talk about, the 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that I would think of as guilty pleasures, are Viva La Vida by Coldplay, who I'm generally kind of indifferent to. They've done some interesting little experimentation bits that sound a bit different from their usual stuff, and this is one of them. And even now I've fallen in love with the song, I really have. I don't think it quite belongs on my top 10 list, but maybe consider it an unofficial number 11 slot. It is definitely an honorable mention. The other one that I'm willing to admit to is, so help me, Thanks for the Memories by Fall Out Boy, who I hate. It's just me, it's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying they're bad, I'm just saying I hate their music. Hate it. But that's how it goes with guilty pleasures. This is one of mine. They contradict your sense of taste, and I can't help it. I really like that song. There you have it. My other honorable mentions belong to comedic songs. So, the two that I have another two that I'm thinking of, are Monty Python's Always Look on the Bright Side of Life from The Life of Brian, and the National Lampoon's Deteriorata. Both of them are very cynical and very, very funny looks at how people cope with everyday life. And in the words of the latter,
take heart amid the deepening gloom that your dog is finally getting enough cheese, and reflect that whatever misfortune may be your lot, it could only be worse in Milwaukee.
So there you have it. Like I said, my top 10 favorite songs, plus a few. Also, like I said earlier, I make no promises on the links down below the video anytime after the publishing of the video. YouTube often shoots down videos that contain songs. They have to, because of copyright claims. With the name and artist given, which I have, you should be able to track them down yourself if you want to listen to. So, if every single one of the links breaks, you're going to have to do a whole lot of Google searching by yourself. Whoever you may be, thanks for coming along for the ride. Till next time, this is BackslashEcho, signing off.